If it's okay, I'd like to tell you a story. It's the story about how I became the Shirataki hacker. The only person on the internet to hack and improve on the recipe for Shirataki noodles. And take those recipes to everyone in the world. So we all can cut out carbs if we want to, lose weight, and save money at the same time. If it's okay with you, I'll just get into it. Here we go. I'm one of those people who have been overweight all my life. When I entered my 50s, I started reading and hearing about how diabetes and obesity go hand in hand, and that obesity actually causes a host of other issues like insulin resistance, sleep apnea, joint and circulation problems, and even strokes, etc., etc. Big list. I'd also just learned that lack of sleep can actually make your body pack on the pounds too. That was news to me. And then the biggest kicker of all was that excess fat can even start some cancer. Yeah, those fat cells start doing weird things. Up to this point in time, even though I was really fat, I was in excellent health. But common sense told me that this couldn't last much longer, so it was about time to get serious about losing the extra weight. Therefore, I told myself that it was now or never. But actually I had some issues. The first issue I had was that I didn't like exercise. And I really hated getting hot and sweaty. I'm pretty sure I can trace this exercise aversion back to high school, to when I was young and just happened to be the most hormonally developed girl in my class. Imagine what that means. Our school had co-ed physical education classes, which I ended up flunking out of because I refused to run an exercise in front of my peers. I was already super shy and self-conscious, and I wanted nothing to do with the gawks at my bouncing body. So anyway, that's enough said about that. So I ended up being absolutely mortified each time my Phy Ed class came along each week. So if you've ever been there, you know what I mean. And the second issue was that I was already in my 50s at the time all this started. And by that time, I figured I knew myself, what my body wanted. I knew I felt the best when eating low-carb foods, and then I knew that I also needed foods that would be really filling and keep me full. Because I'm one of those people who end up eating too much because the stop signal that my gut sends to my head, it doesn't reach it in time. So anyway, armed with the criteria of no exercise until I got a lot thinner and low carb foods that filled me up, I headed over to YouTube to see if I could find some weight loss videos that would help. And during my search, I stumbled upon an old video that promised to show me how to make Shirataki noodles. I hadn't heard of a thing called Shirataki noodles at that time, so I figured, this might be a good thing to search. Look at this. The person in the video obviously didn't care about the impression he left on his audience, because he was simply dumping some sort of white powder all over the like a big plate, and he wasn't even measuring it, just pouring it out of the bag. And then he started to pour pickling juice all over it. Pickle juice, right from the pickle jar. He said the powder that he was using was called glucomannan, after he poured the pickle juice on, he let the glucomannan soak it up, and then he threw the whole kit and caboodle into the fry pan. Then he added more ingredients to the pan in order to make the shirataki taste better. He said he did that because the shirataki had no taste, which made sense. So after reading through the comment section, I kind of got the idea that no one really watched to the rest of the show. However, I kept watching to the end because he hooked me with a very interesting story. He told, regarding how he learned about shirataki. He said that one day when he was in his clinic, there was a patient that came in, and he couldn't stop looking at him because he looked like a deflated balloon. His skin was all hanging everywhere. And so he went over to the guy and said, What happened to you? Why did you get that way? Are you alright? And then the guy just said that he had simply bought an Asian food product off of the internet called shirataki. And he had been eating only that for a long time. And that's how he had lost, a lot of weight just by eating that. However, he had lost the weight way too fast. And his skin just couldn't keep up. You can only stretch so much. So he now had to have surgery to remove all the excess skin. That's when the person in the video added a disclaimer saying that no one should lose weight that fast because it's really bad for your heart. And he suggested using the product as a supplement, not as a total meal replacement like that balloon guy did. And I also agree with that. Just don't do that. After watching that video and hearing the man's story, that's when I became obsessed with learning all about Shirataki noodles. So first I headed over. First I had to find out more about it, and to get a package or two, so I could experience it myself. And I had to see if the online descriptions were anywhere close to what the actual product was. Plus I had to see if I liked it or not, and if I did like it, I had to determine whether I'd be able to afford it, because I'd be having it every day, and I calculated that I'd at least need to be on it for a year as a supplement. My first bags arrived in the mail, and it was kind of exciting. I opened up the first bag and was a little disappointed because it had a really bad fishy smell. And so I washed it off like the instructions said, and then put it in my favorite sauce. But it just wasn't right. The taste was just, no, it wasn't good. And then the texture was like chewing rubber bands. If you've ever had the noodles, you probably know what I mean. So just because I couldn't get over that, I just went ahead and threw the bags in the refrigerator and left them for the next 5 or 6 months. And during that time, I did try some other diets, but in the end I did decide to take another bag of those noodles out of the refrigerator, and I figured, I'll give you one last try before I chuck you, before I throw you out. I thought, maybe I could psych myself out this time somehow, that I could maybe ignore the smell and the texture and the taste however, before opening this next bag, I turned it over and read the ingredients. Water, glucomannan, calcium hydroxide, which is pickling lime, by the way. I went, what? 3 ingredients? That's all that's in here? Technically it's only 2, because the other one's water. And I felt a light bulb go off in my brain. I could hack these and make them myself. It would probably be a lot cheaper to make them by myself than buying them from the store or online. And that's when I went back to the internet and began diving really deep for any information on how these things were manufactured. I found the most information on Google Patents, which was pretty cool. And then I found a couple crumbs on some blogs and forums. But a lot of that information was not right, kind of dubious. I even watched some Chinese videos, straight from the manufacturer. So I saw the process, even though I couldn't understand a thing they were saying. But seeing that process helped immensely. So now that I was armed with all this information, I set out to experiment. And experiment is what I did for months. I experimented a lot. When I had what I thought was a perfect process and recipe that anyone could follow, I published my first YouTube videos. I'd never done that before. It felt really good to have finally accomplished my goal of making these mysterious noodles. However, my success ended up being short-lived because my hard drive decided to crash. I couldn't get it back. I couldn't get anything back. I had no backups either, so I lost everything. All my research and all the other recipes I hadn't published yet, they were all gone. Okay, thankfully, the videos that I had up on YouTube were safe, and I was able to recover at least a few of my recipes because of that. However, that event took all the wind out of my sails, so I really didn't do anything more with them after that. Except I did continue to answer questions that my visitors posted on my YouTube channel. And every once in a while, one of them would ask me to post a video showing this or that. But I really couldn't get back into it, and simply told them I was lazy, I was a lazy butt, and I would eventually get around to doing it for them, but not to hold their breath. Even if I had wanted to make a video, my camera had also putted out. I'm not lying, it putted out. And I didn't have any extra money to mail it in to get it fixed. So there I was. It wasn't until taking the One Funnel Away challenge that my old dreams of making an info product started to stir again. Because of their prodding and their inspiration, I got busy. I got really busy, and I allowed myself to experiment and dream again. So I'm excited to say that at this time I've come up with many more fabulous Shirataki noodle recipes. Recipes that the world and the other manufacturers have never thought of or introduced. And I'm preparing to package and sell the recipes along with some how-to videos. And this will be via the ClickFunnels platform. And eventually, I'd also like to sell my own branded ingredients and utensils. Help people just order and be done with it. However, that's not where the story ends. Not on a long shot. Not by a long shot. I still have all this weight to lose, and that will be my next big adventure. If anyone wishes to follow along or join me on this big adventure, you can find me and my videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Just search for White Cat Shirataki. I want to thank you so much for sticking around to the end of my story. And feel free to make whatever comment pops into your head. I can take it. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.